Hello everybody, my name is Gabriana Nash and welcome back to my YouTube channel.
Unless I could cut right to the future and see that we run the race. Unless I would see us together.
Alright, on today's video, we're going to be talking about my process as I write my songs. By no means am I a professional or trying to tell y'all that this is how to do it and the only way. Absolutely not. Writing music is all about your individual creative process, and this is how I do it. I'm also in no kind of situation where I have to like crank out a bunch of songs in this amount of time. So like this process is leeway, okay? So just keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm just gonna talk about my steps because it could be cool. Let me know if anything resonates with you down in the comments, and let's just get it going. Alright, so first steps first. I usually start with some sort of melody. Hook, chorus is usually what it is, whatever you want to call it, but like that's the little thing that's like in my brain and I'm like, ooh, this is good, I should write it down. It is so random. I could be like doing the dishes, and it's usually in some moment when I don't have like music of my own playing, so I'm always trying to curate that entertainment because I have such a crazy imagination, and I'm over here like doing the dishes and the sponge is like in the water. I'm like, oh no, the sponge is drowning, and I'm over here like writing some really sad and sentimental music to the sponge like drowning in the dishwater, and it makes absolutely no sense, but you're over here like singing all these songs, and then it's like, wait, I should write this down. So that's just how it happens. I very much say that the writing process, at least when I start it, like it just takes me away. I don't really do anything. I just exist and it kind of just flows right out of me. So yeah, and I always make it a point to stop what I'm doing, whether I'm like in a social setting or at work or doing the dishes, and like go to my phone and record it immediately because I will forget. You will forget. Don't wait. Yes, just record it immediately. You'll thank yourself later. And from there, I will like to think to myself, okay, am I in a position where I can continue to work on this or not? If you can't continue to work on this, that's okay, but I feel like your chances of finishing it is quite low. Only because I feel like if you don't work on it now, it's just going to end up in the hundreds of voice memos or notes that you already have. And even if you don't work on it, it could still end up there. But I think your chances are higher if you are like, okay, I'm going to try and sit down and write on this real quick. And that's okay. But yeah, I try to make it a point to get started on it early. I think it ups your chances. So usually when I'm starting to write on it, I like to try and get quite far. And quite far in the means of I try to get a whole verse and a whole chorus down. It's pretty safe to say that usually when I start writing songs, I have no other format in my head other than ABAB. And that's just, it's so simple because, you know, the verses are going to sound exactly the same musically, and the melody, even if the words are different, it's still going to be sung the same way. And that just helps me when I'm done with the verse and the chorus and I want to come back to it, at least I have a structure I can follow. So, but there's so many other formats out there. Please don't be confined to anything. If anything, if you ever forget how it goes, record it on the voice memos. You'll never forget. Yeah, so after that, after I write in a verse and a chorus, I will take to the piano or whatever instrument you're the most comfortable on. Usually when I get to the piano, I like to get chords down, simple chords, and from there I can usually figure out what key I'm in, and that's just super helpful because at least you have some sort of accompaniment going to this, just like a little melody that's in your brain or in the voice memo. Like you've actually got it out there with some instruments and it's starting to become like a song. So once you made it that far, then I like to go what I call a demo. Now, truthfully, I'm going to be transparent here. I have no idea if a demo should be like full song completed finished by the time you end up to a studio session or not. I am in a position where 9 times out of 10, I go to all my studio sessions where the song's not done, mainly because 1, you won't get there that far, and 2, maybe maybe you might scratch a song and that might save you some time from writing it. Or maybe you like the idea of creating as you go. I mean, that could be really fun and a whole creative like idea. But you know, maybe a con is that like time management wise, like you want to be able to have your ideas ready to present them and ready for it to make sense so your producer can follow what you want. And if you're creating as you go, you don't really have that good of a confident idea of what you want. So maybe having it finished could get you there. It all depends on the situation you're in, but I personally want to get into a habit where I have demos finished and kind of see how I fare, because it's not every day that I get to have the opportunity to go to the studio and finish the songs that I want. So I think to help speed up the process, having a full demo and having like the idea and how I want to do it is a good idea. But yeah, so I make the demo, and where I make my demos is personally on GarageBand. I always say that GarageBand is a free service, and I don't use it as often as I think somebody who has like Ableton, Pro Tools, Logic, like somebody who has to pay for those services would use them. So until I get to a point where I'm using GarageBand like almost daily, I will continue to use the free service GarageBand. I mean, it also comes with like every Apple device, and it's like super easy to use. So it doesn't get any easier than that, right? So yeah, I do it on GarageBand, and it gives me just a really great foundation of like the kind of instruments I see in it. The sounds on GarageBand are very limited, but that's okay, because you can fix that once you actually go to the studio and they have like one of those other DAWs I mentioned earlier that has like a plethora of sounds, like so many to choose from. It's so overwhelming. So that can be fixed. It's okay, but as long as you have some foundation, like that works. And just some key things to get out of the demo is maybe like the tempo, the key I said before, some instruments you want in it, all just those ideas. If you can get it out, like they're really small stuff, but they make a difference when you're in the studio. And I also think playing around with GarageBand, like if you're somebody who doesn't know how to like produce music at all, like I wouldn't say, I'm definitely not confident enough to like produce music and mix it myself. But over the years of just playing around in GarageBand, I mean, at first started my fascination with music, but it also helped me to acquire like a lot of the language that like some producers use, for real. And I think I have like a pretty spectacular ear when I'm listening for stuff, and maybe some of that came from playing around in GarageBand. I think there's something you could learn from doing that. It's definitely really beneficial when you can know a little bit about what's going into making your songs and stuff instead of being completely oblivious. So another reason why you use GarageBand, because also I think GarageBand is it's like, I want to say Logic, like it looks exactly like Logic. So if you use GarageBand and you buy Logic, it's like you'll know how to use it because it looks exactly the same. I hope that's the right service. It could be one of the other ones, but I think it's Logic. Anyways, so yeah, basically after you're done with the demo, for me, it's time to go to the studio. It's time to hit up my boy and be like, yo, I got a song when you're free. Yeah. So those are the steps I take when writing songs and making it all the way to the studio sesh. Hopefully the song I started with was the same one that made it to the studio session. You never know. But at some point I would love to do a video talking about my EP, Endless Heartbreak, that I released back in April. I would love to talk about like that process and even do kind of like a Genius style video with all the songs on the EP. So let me know if you want to see that down in the comments below. But yeah, thanks for sticking around, and I hope you see you all in the next video. And have a great day! Woo! Goodbye.